Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Workforce Connection. The Workforce Connection is a co-production of the Fall River Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Fall River Community Media, and Bristol Community College. Every month we bring to you the issues and the people who are impacting the workforce, and this month is no different. My name is Rob Mellion. I'm the CEO of the Fall River Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I'm your host today. So today's conversation is going to be about HR issues, human resource issues that impact businesses and impact the decision making of businesses and ultimately help in their productivity. So we're going to be talking about compliance, we're going to be talking about federal regulations and right down to local regulations that businesses have to deal with, but we're also going to talk about the people side because really it's all about the people. And to help us talk about the people side of human resources, we brought in a specialist on the topic, and that is Doug Duncan, and he is with Talent Value, and they are I would say a lot more than just a human resource company. They're a problem solver. They're a people problem solving company. And we're going to talk about how they do that, but we're also going to talk about the issues that are impacting businesses with human resources. So I want to thank Doug for coming and being a guest on the show.
Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. This is going to be fun.
So maybe before we go into the topic matter itself, let's talk about you real quickly. You know, what is your background in human resources? What has brought you to the table today?
I spent 18 years, Rob, with a major supermarket, running human resources, their strategic planning processes, actually international sales. We sold all those cans of corn overseas. And then got my master's in human resources from Rutgers University. And then in 1999 started my own business, basically focusing on the small to mid-sized market. Found that big companies, enterprise-sized companies, had their staffs and human resource issues, but the small to mid-sized companies were having problems in actually figuring out how to handle all the things that every other company had.
So what are some of the day-to-day issues that impact businesses, whether they are large or small?
Well, I think maybe we start off by saying this, is that your people can take your business to incredible heights of success, and at the same time, maybe even the same day, maybe the same hour, cause you incredible frustration. So the issue is, how are you going to be able to tap the resources of the people in your organization to help them to be more productive, not only for your company, but for the customers that they serve? That, I think, is the focus that we need to make in the processes that we develop.
And how does a company like Talent Value help provide those resources?
Companies have built their operating systems to run their business. They've built financial systems to manage the dollars, marketing systems to bring in their clients. We build the human systems. It's all those little pieces, the things you do each and every single day to help sustain and support the employees that work with you, again, so they can support and sustain the customers that you want to serve. And so we've built human systems, all of these things linked and integrated so that they fit together into a simple process that everybody can access and work with.
Now, you and I, we talked about this issue some time ago on another program, and I found it to be very interesting. I like the way that you talk about people in general, because frequently in business, people are referred to in the third person. And I noticed that something that Talent Value does, something that you do personally, is you bring a value for people themselves. Can you talk about how people are valuable within a company?
Individuals are not just pieces in a cog. And when they are treated like pieces and pieces in a cog.
Because I say that because many businesses do that.
Well, sure. Partly because, think about the business, and we have to, what do people really focus on? Increasing revenue, reducing costs, improving productivity, enhancing the bottom line. Day in and day out, that's what they work on every single day. And yet, they spend $70,000 on a truck, but rarely spend the $70 on training the person to ride and operate that truck. So it's the individuals within an organization that can make a difference in whether you're profitable and whether you're successful in the business. I think that it's the individual that we need to be focusing on, and how do we take the power of one person and multiply it many times.
What happens when a business fails to focus on individuals?
Interesting story, a study done a number of years ago of some 25,000 employees in 70 to 80 different industries and companies. They found that 5% of the employees were highly engaged, excited to come to work every day. 45% were reasonably good. They liked what they saw and they were interested in the business. 48% were becoming disengaged and uninterested or in some way discouraged, and 2% were so bitter they're looking to destroy the company. Well, so what's the result of that? When you talk about a company that has highly engaged employees, we find companies with 86% higher loyalty, higher profitability, higher rates of safety, and the profitability actually improves significantly. So this is not just a soft, wonderful type of a thing be done. It's really about hard numbers, about how to improve the productivity and the profitability of the business. So the systems that we build fit with the operational marketing and financial systems, and they link together so that it becomes a seamless process serving the customer and serving the employee.
What are these systems?
Systems start off with a simple job description. And I think about job descriptions a little bit differently than many other job descriptions, which tend to be laundry lists of tasks. Do this, do that, do this,
Yes.
do that. They really should be called task descriptions, not job descriptions. I think people tend to hire for skill and fire for behavior. And if you think about the behaviors that drive individuals, it is both the job of what task or what you do and the behaviors how you do it that fits together. And that kind of integration of both task and behavior really drives success for a individual employee. It's the behaviors, if you think about that, that are really the critical function of what drives success in a company.
Now I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking to myself, this conversation is not necessarily all about Lockheed Martin and what's good for Lockheed Martin. This conversation is really relevant to mid-sized and small companies.
Think about a person with 5 employees or 6 employees. You add one person to that staff of 5, that's a 20% increase in the employee count in your business. It affects the culture of that business. It affects the way that everybody works together and whether they serve their customer better. So that small company needs to spend more time, in a sense, on these people issues as much as they spend time on the operational and marketing and financial issues.
Now, many smaller companies, or I say small to mid-sized companies, because that really is the backbone of the southeastern Massachusetts
Of course.
Economy here. Many of them are concerned about costs, and they're looking for cost-effective means for everything. How is addressing human resource or human systems cost-effective to businesses?
I think costs come in 2 different ways. First is the money that you spend, and certainly if you think of these resources, the people as expenses, then you'll think of this as a cost, and as you increase your costs, you increase your expenses. But the other thing comes from the errors and the mistakes and the things that people don't do as efficiently or as effectively as they could. And when a customer turns and can't get served properly, when a customer doesn't get the things that they demand, the marketplace demands, there's a real unidentified cost that is attributed to that company. It could be a lost customer or a customer that doesn't come back again. So I think the employee and the customer need to be really thought of almost in the same kind of light. And that's where costs really should be thought of as investments rather than just as costs.
You know, I know that you don't like the word training, but I think to myself, because I remember we had that conversation because you train dogs, not people.
Right.
See, things stick with me when we have these conversations.
Thank you, Rob.
But when you're working with individuals, I notice many companies don't take the time to prepare people in the workforce to be successful. And that
True.
ultimately impacts the cost of doing business.
Sure. And so when you have a new employee come on, or you're looking for a way to improve the productivity of the existing workforce, we need to go back to that job description, the tasks and the behaviors. We need to take a look at now, how do we make sure that that what we're doing is accurate and effective. We want to get efficiency in our workforce, and it's done by doing the right things the right way the first time. And we want to do it effectively. And what's effective mean? It means that we are not wasting our time doing things that are not productive and that don't serve our customers well and don't produce the kind of the kind of results that companies are really looking for. Take the time to make sure your employees are properly trained and learn properly. Then you're going to find that, in fact, they can do their job better, more efficiently, more effectively, producing higher productivity, which produces profits.
We're getting to the point where we're going to move into a public service announcement. But before we do, I want to talk about talent value very quickly, and then we'll pick up talent value on the other side of the public service announcement here, because it's a very interesting company that you have that addresses many of the issues that we've been discussing over the last few minutes here. Mm-hmm. Why you do this? How do you do this? What kind of platform have you created for businesses that makes all this easier?
We've built a dashboard. And what that means is that on the web, you're going to be able to go to one place to be able to solve or work on all of these various components. How you hire somebody, how you train them, how do you retain them. This process is all right there in one place so that you can find what you need, when you need it, quickly, and get it done.
And what I want to do is when we come back from this public service announcement, I'd like to talk about the dashboard.
Sure.
And how it can be used by businesses, because I find this to be a very interesting product out there that is worth many businesses to take a look at.
Fantastic.
So please stay with us. We're going to do a quick public service announcement, and we'll be back on the other side.
I grew up in Fall River, Mass. I got interested with communications through Fred TV. That's what kind of opened the door for me. I did know one thing, that I liked to interact with people. So I knew that communications definitely dealt with interacting with people, but it also gave me the chance to kind of venture into different aspects of it without having to commit immediately to what I was eventually going to go into. BCC wasn't my first choice. I was supposed to attend the University of Massachusetts Amherst, but because of finances, I wasn't able to do so. I wasn't looking for the dorm life, I was looking for an education, and I got that with BCC. As I went on, I took a class in public relations. I really liked the concept of being a liaison between an organization and all of its publics, whether that be the media or the consumers. As part of my financial aid award, I was also given work study. After about a year as a work study, I heard about a job opening as a receptionist. The work study actually opened the door for me because I was able to get the job as a part-time receptionist. Here at BCC, we have a co-op program. I was lucky enough to have an internship right here in the communications office. They had me doing things that I would do in the public relations role, such as writing press releases or creating social media posts. Commencement for me is another part of my journey. It's been an opportunity for me to get my feet on the ground and kind of take a breather before I head into the real world, into a four-year university. After here, I do plan on transferring to Rhode Island College. I plan on majoring in communications with a concentration in public relations. So I am able to take what I learned here, especially in my internship, where I had the hands-on experience in the field, and bring that with me to the school.
So welcome back to the Workforce Connection. Again, with us is Doug Duncan, and he's with Talent Value, and we just prior to this public service announcement had introduced the, you don't call it an OS
I call it human system.
You call it
HS.
human system.
Our dashboard.
Yes. And it's a dashboard for businesses.
Correct.
That assist them not just in compliance, but in assisting their employees to make them more productive.
This is going to be, I think, an interesting...
Not really to make them, but to assist them to become more productive.
Absolutely. Well, it's giving them the tools
Yes.
they need, right tools in the right place at the right time, gives you what allows you to be where you need to be. I think people want to do a good job. I think they want to do it well. But many times they run into obstacles and problems, and they're just not sure where to turn. So one of the things that we're going to be doing for the Chamber is providing an access for every one of their members to be able to log in and find a whole dashboard of information, articles and documents, and to help them guide them in a whole range of areas where they're not quite sure where to go.
What are some of the elements to the dashboard?
Well, we have a system which our human system is called SOAR, how we select the right person for the job, orient them into the position.
That's what I want to do. I want to show how encompassing.
Right. So we're
This
going to
all is.
select the right person for the job. So here's a whole range of information about how to do interviews, the do's and don'ts of interviews, how do you organize it properly, orient them into the position. How do you now bring a person on and onboard them in, orient them to the company so that they're comfortable with the rules and the regulations of this new organization they're joining? How do I assimilate people into a team? And that means they need to learn the job, they need to understand how all the other people in the organization work, and R stands for retention. How do we retain the good people that I have so that they serve our customers well? So it's called SOAR.
It's interesting. And what I really find interesting is how you spend time discussing onboarding, because my observation is that is an area where many companies could do better.
Let me just, observation over many, many, many years, and many small companies, mid-sized, large companies, they all face the similar problem. Someone comes in, they have high expectations and lots of hope that maybe today, this time, this company is going to be something special. And they get put with an individual who may be a great technician but is a lousy trainer. And the person who is now doing the training is given the assignment to teach this new person what to do. They don't have the skills to do it. They're running around trying to do their own job. So what we do is we organize the information so that the person can learn what they need to learn at the pace they need to learn it. And the person who's teaching them or showing them the ropes knows exactly what to do that. It's workforce building to productivity. And that's what we need. We need knowledge, and knowledge needs to be learned, not just thrown at you like papers, just do this and just do that. You have to learn what you need to learn and to do it right. And so it becomes part of who you are as an individual so that you can do the job that you want to do, but many times have not been able to do.
So how will companies have access to this human system?
Right. The dashboard is going to be available, so it'll come through your website, as we talked about.
Right.
I'll have a link. It's going to come soon, and then they will log in using their username and password. It's going to have information on the applicant tracking systems and job posting processes, and all the job and access to job descriptions and other things, access to documents and learning processes, access to e-learning courses that are mapped to job descriptions and behaviors. So all this information is going to be available to the small, mid-sized company at the Chamber. And it's going to be a system that now people can then use for free. And then there's going to be other areas where they can purchase the ability to
and it makes
buy
sense. There's going to be
other
tiers.
capabilities that they may not have. applicant tracking systems and job posting processes and behavioral assessments and background checks and links into human resource information systems, all this linked, integrated human system that links to their operating financial and marketing systems.
So theoretically, by partnering with Talent Value, you essentially get a human resource system
Correct.
at your disposal.
At your disposal. But transactional sides of the business, those day-to-day things that you need to have done, and the transformational side of the business, how do I take people and transform them so they're more productive and more effective and more efficient for my own company, but serving the customer that I have to serve. I serve the customer well, I get repeat business, my revenue increases, my costs are in line, my productivity's up, and my profitability is up.
And part of the reason why we're doing this and why we're partnering with Talent Value on helping to open this opportunity up is because one of the things that I hear from all of you, the business owners out there, is there's just nowhere to turn to get these kinds of answers at a cost-effective manner. And that's what we're trying to solve problems here. We're trying to address the issue. And there are many issues that impact businesses.
Right.
I mean, cost of doing business is one. Energy and compliance and regulations that are in place, like sick pay leave, and just all these things. And businesses don't know where to turn. But human issues, HR issues, is something that happens every single day.
In fact, 41% of studies have shown that at least 41% of the time that a manager spends doing activities are dealing with some kind of a human issue. And so this is not something that just casually comes in and out. It's how do I get the people that I have doing the things they need to do to serve the customer well.
Can you talk about the educational component?
Sure. Education is all about making sure that you know technically what you have to do, but then how do I actually go about doing it right? Whether I'm listening properly, organizing myself, whether I'm committed to my job, these are all behavioral things, how I do it. And so we struggle, business owners struggle day in day. How do I get people to do what they need to do? And they resist and they have obstacles and they're frustrated because they're not experts in human resources, they're experts in their business, whether it's auto business or service business, manufacturing, or whatever the level. It's all about the people and how they can do the jobs that necessary to have to do. That's about behavior, it's about learning, it's about growing, and how do you learn properly? You just don't throw people out and hope that they learn. They actually have to absorb it properly so that they can make it their words, not the manager's words. And when it's my words, I do what I want to do.
So you're not just putting out a product. I know for a fact that Talent Value has actually done their research first. They reached out last year to the business community to get a pulse for what were the issues that were impacting local businesses related to human resources. What did you find in your research?
In fact, you asked me to, and I brought this with me here. They found that basically keeping up to date with laws, big issue. How do I know about what to do and where to go?
We have a biggie that's going into effect this month, which is the new sick pay leave legislation. Some businesses are just finding out that the thing got passed and that it's on their doorsteps.
How do I stay compliant? How do I
Yes.
stay compliant with all of these things? You've built these systems. You can have these books and this information on a shelf somewhere, but you become compliant when the people who work for you do the job the right way the first time. Finding quality candidates. How do I find the good people out there? I believe there are good people out there. How do I find them?
Doug, that is issue one. I mean, cost of doing business in the Northeast in general is a top issue, but finding the right people for employment within your company, I am telling you, that is issue 1 across the board.
It's 2 parts, though. It's a sourcing. How do I get the pool of candidates from which I can choose? And then what is the process I need to do in order to select the right person that fits with the culture of my company? That's why I talk about the task, not only the technical things, but these behaviors of how people operate and work within an organization so that it fits like a glove.
I say that because, you know, you do a job posting, you get 70 applicants, and it is tough.
How do I sort through all of
Yes.
that? Well, that's what behavioral assessments do. That's why when we do our applicant tracking processes and management programs, that all these candidates come into a single place, which then asks them pre-qualified questions, helps you to sort who's the best and who's less a good fit, and then does assessments that actually checks the behavioral component and whether they're going to fit, whether they're honest on drugs, will they show up, will they work,
Yeah.
and whether
Well,
they're lying.
Well, I brought that issue up because some people look really good on paper, but when you test them out, not so good.
It's what's inside you that drives success ultimately. And I'm not an industrial psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm a business consultant who happens to specialize in human resources. So I turn to the experts to help me craft these specialized assessments that fits not only with the organization, but also with the job. I mean, if this is what success looks like, is the person a match like this, or are they like this? This doesn't mean this is a bad person. It just means they don't fit with the
Right.
job. So we need to find this person, this job. So so everybody fits correctly, not only the tasks, but the behaviors, what I do and how I do it, the job description, the training process, the performance management programs, the leadership processes, both the things that transform organizations and the day-to-day transactions that need to be done to make sure everything is working properly.
I find it really interesting every time I listen to you. How do people get more information just about Talent Value? I mean, what's the website? Because a lot of people like to look at this
It's
stuff.
actually simple, www.talentvalue.com.
Oh, I love it when it's easy like that. TalentValue.com.
Talent value, you value the talent in your organization. That's how we came up with the name. You know, we want to make sure that it's the right person for the job, and that's talentvalue.com. You'll find a lot of information there in many different areas. You can read about articles right off the web to help you with your own business.
And again, at the Chamber of Commerce, what we're doing is we're partnering with Talent Value, and we'll actually create a tab on our website, on the front part of our website, that'll direct you to their HS system.
There you go.
And that'll be done in the months ahead. But if you want to read up more about Talent Value, I recommend you go to their website at talentvalue.com. And is there a phone number?
Yeah, the telephone number is 401-463-0200.
Fantastic. And folks, thank you for watching the Workforce Connection. We'll be back with you next month with another edition, again, helping you to connect with the area workforce. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.